All right, team, here via satellite with possibly the biggest name in the game today. CPG, welcome to the Pro Show and the millions and millions of fans.
Jason, let me start by saying I can't begin to tell you how big of a deal it is for me personally to be on the Pro Show. I'd say after qualifying for the regionals at the 89 Oldsmobile Scramble and maybe making the cut at the 95 Matamoros 4-ball, this is one of the coolest things I've been able to accomplish in the world of golf.
CPG, all we can say is the feeling is very mutual having you here on the show today. And with that being said, let's jump straight into the hard-hitting 9, because 10's just way too many questions. All right, out of the gate, question 1. We all know of your legendary golfing acumen, your talent. But I have to ask, did you play any other sports growing up?
Well, I feel like I could have played anything because I have elite hand-eye coordination, which, as you know, will serve you well in almost any sport. But because my dad was a mini tour player on the Yukon Tour in extreme northern Canada throughout the early 70s, I think my mom innately knew that golf was my destiny and she steered me in that direction. Plus, she loved the game. You know, she was a groupie on the PGA Tour throughout her reproductive years. And her lifelong dream was to sleep with Fuzzy Zoeller, which she ultimately accomplished in 1987 after the second round of the Greater Greensboro Classic.
CPG, it sounds like your mother was one special lady, and little did she know that her decision to push you in that direction changed the landscape of the game of golf today. Pretty awesome. All right, question number 2 here. We're all heartbroken a little bit when you and Tawny split up a while back, but that did make you the #1 bachelor in all of Kansas City. Now, CPG, what's a date with one lucky lady look like on a night out on the town?
Listen, I don't want to give away any trade secrets, but if I'm out with a young lady for the first time, I'm going to give her the 1-2 punch of my Miata and Chili's, because I know that's what works. You know, there's nothing like pulling up in my Miata with the top down, see the look on her face. You know, then we head straight to Chili's, where I've reserved a booth because the assistant manager is a member at my club. You know, I usually pull right into the handicap spot to let her know that any lady I'm with doesn't have to walk too far to the door. Then, you know, if everything goes well, I'm going to ask her if she wants to head back to my condo to see my Greg Norman straw hat collection. And I think you know what's going to happen after that.
Well, I'll tell you what, lucky enough for our members here at the Club of Carlton Woods, there's a Chili's literally a mile down the road, so I'm sure they'll all add that to their repertoire. All right, CPG, here we go. Next up, we've all heard you speak about your idealistic view, the guy that kind of blazed a trail for you in the game of golf, J. Don Blake. But I have to ask, did you have any other idols growing up? Anybody else you maybe looked up to?
You know, I am the player I am today because of J. Don, no doubt about it. He's kind of like the father I never knew. But as I mentioned earlier, when I was growing up, my mom followed the PGA Tour around from event to event. So I got to meet so many guys who were in and out of our camper. J.C. Snead, Bob Murphy, Al Geiberger, Rick Massengale, Gene Littler, and of course, Roger Maltby several times. I was so lucky to be exposed to these guys on a daily, and in some cases, almost an hourly basis.
Well, I'll tell you, to be around the best players of that era, CPG, just had to be a difference maker in your game. Pretty special right there. All right, moving on. Look, you're world-renowned for your work in the industry these days, and do you have any advice for all the up-and-coming young golf professionals just getting into the business?
You know, I just tell them to enjoy the ride, because there's nothing better than being known in the community as a professional. You know, it signifies that you've mastered your craft, and that's something they shouldn't take lightly. You know, it allows them the opportunity to make $35,000 a year and buy Peter Millar apparel at Cost Plus. You know, 85 hours seems like a lot a week, but it flies by when you realize what a difference you're making in people's lives.
All right, sage advice for our young professionals right there. CPG, now you're in charge of one of the most high-end semi-private clubs in the country. When you were hired there, where did you start in building your team, and what's most important?
You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The most important hire any golf club can make is the beverage cart girl. Full stop. You get that hire right, then you build around her. The revenue Anastasia brings in with the outfits that she wears is really hard to put a number on. Her philosophy for getting maximum sales has always been to try and blur that line between flirtiness and prostitution. It's a philosophy that's really worked for her, and we are so lucky to have her.
Well, I can only hope that our fellow club managers are watching here today, because that's just pure unbridled operational knowledge. All right, CPG, on to the next question. Back to your playing days on the Mexican Mini Tour. You're coming off of missing 47 straight cuts. 47 straight cuts when you embarked on your 8-hole par streak. Now, in the middle of that round, in the middle of the streak, can you give any tips to our fans on how to handle yourself emotionally when you're kind of in the middle of a heater on the golf course, having a career round going?
You know, the mistake so many amateurs make is that they're afraid to take it deep. They're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. A lot of people don't realize this, but the hole before that par streak started, I had just gotten a 2-stroke penalty for playing a range ball. And I was angry. I was angry at myself, I was angry at my caddy Ernesto, and I was angry at the world. I just decided right then and there to channel that anger and start hitting quality golf shots. You hear so much about being in the zone. That was 8 holes that I'll never forget.
Well, I'll tell you, it's always been compared to Tiger's consecutive cuts made streak, and undoubtedly has a secure spot in the history of the game. All right, moving along, CPG. Look, we saw the post-round presser for Thursday Night Men's League a week ago. I know that Mexican food probably has lost its spot in the rotation for your pre-round ritual, but I've got to ask, everybody's trying to get a leg up. What do you put in your body, food, drink, supplements, to get your body ready to be put in the fire for a big tournament round of golf, or like Thursday Night Men's League?
Well, I'm sponsored by Best Ball CBD, which is the only CBD in the industry sold exclusively in golf pro shops. So I like to shotgun some of that on the range before I play. But other than that, I like to go to Hardee's on the way to the course, because a Baconator and a large Coke gives me the energy I need to get through a full round. Fast food gets a really bad rap in the media, but it's tough to play well if you're not nourished well.
Okay, folks, you heard it here first. Baconator, Coke, a little CBD. We're ready to go for a tournament round of golf. All right, CPG, 2 to go, only 2 to go. We're almost through here. This is for our distinguished members here at the Club of Carlton Woods. We have our member event coming up in about a month. Can you drop any advice, any knowledge for our distinguished members here at the Club of Carlton Woods on how to find the right partner for this upcoming huge event here at the club?
Well, that's such a great question, Jason. I did a Learning Center video last year on this very topic that your members can Google, but I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version here. You need to pick a guy with really 2 important qualities. Number 1, he must have a bullshit index. And number 2, he's got to have a hot wife. Why is that? Because you can't win a member event if both you and your partner have a legitimate index. It's just not going to happen. Okay? And secondly, there's so many social functions surrounding these events nowadays. You're going to be spending substantial time with your partner's wife. And because of that, her hotness becomes a major factor. This is all just common sense, but it's information you can't find in the so-called golf publications.
No, sir, you absolutely cannot find it there. That is for sure. All right, look, valuable insight from Club Pro Guy here for our members, and we're all looking forward to the member coming up. All right, last question, CPG. U.S. Open week upon us. We all want to know, who's your pick to win the tournament, and are you going to have any action on the event?
Listen, full disclosure, I have a serious gambling problem. So I'm only going to bet on it if I'm up on college football at the time and if a guy really jumps off the page. But if you're going to hold me down, feet to the fire, I like Tony Finau.
All right, Tony Finau, I am in. Club Pro Guy, I can't thank you enough for spending your precious time away from your members and honing your game to be with us here on the Pro Show today. Take care.
Listen, Jason, it's been a pleasure to be with the guy who I like to call the consummate pro. Okay? And do me a favor, let your members know, especially those in your ladies' league who are either divorced or maybe in somewhat of a shaky marriage, that if they're ever in Kansas City, look me up. Whether it be for a lesson or riding the Miata, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay? All my best.